Hello and welcome to this short yoga sequence for hips, breathing, and the pelvic floor. I'm your teacher today, Elise, and I will be guiding this practice as we explore the ways we can open and release tension in areas that often inhibit our breath and add tension to the pelvic floor. As we progress throughout this practice, I encourage you to listen and pay attention to your body. If in any of the poses, the cues that I'm giving don't feel right to you, cause you any pain, or make it difficult for you to maintain a steady flow of your breath, then play around, explore the poses, and see what you can do to modify them to make them more comfortable for your body. This is your practice and it needs to work for you. And if you're feeling tense, it's not going to have the desired benefits. So I encourage you to approach this as yoga exploration or even yoga play, and to really get to know what your body feels like in these poses. I look forward to guiding your practice, and let's begin. We're going to start by lying on our backs. You may have a pillow or a blanket under your head if that's more comfortable for you. We're going to let the feet walk out towards the edge of the mat, knees bent, and allow those knees to fall in towards each other. And soften the gaze, or perhaps even close the eyes as we begin to focus on our inhalation and exhalation, letting the breath draw us inwards to the body. With each inhale, allowing yourself to transition from doing to being. Notice how your belly and chest rise with each inhale and collapse with each gentle exhale. Take a moment here to also notice where you may feel some tension in your breath, areas where that flow of inhalation doesn't go quite as easily. Notice whether you feel your breath expanding your body down towards the ground as well as up into the air. Notice if your breath makes it down towards your pelvic floor. And perhaps you feel a gentle expansion outward of the perineum on each inhale. And a very light lifting of the perineum as you exhale. Stay with the breath. Notice if you're holding tension in your shoulders, in the sides of your throat or your jaw, and allow that tension to melt away into the ground. As you keep bringing your mind back to this deep inhale and exhale, drawing energy into the body and allowing it to flow through every point of awareness. And as the air flows out of your body on the exhale, allowing yourself to ground down into the earth. When you're ready, perhaps you flutter the eyes open or bring them back into focus. And allow the hands to rest on the low belly, right below that belly button. And heel toe the feet in slightly so that they're about parallel and underneath the hip points. We're going to take a minute here to begin retraining our brain to coordinate those low abdomen muscles with the pelvic floor as we inhale and exhale. So on the next inhale, take a deep breath. Let it fill the belly and low back. And as you exhale, make a gentle and feel the way this engages those low abdominal muscles. For some people, a shh may work better. Just experiment and see what works for you as you breathe. And as you continue with your breath, perhaps you feel that as your core muscles tense under your fingers during that exhale, you can very slightly lift and engage the pelvic floor as well. So inhale, everything relaxes. Exhale, gentle lift. Inhale, relax. Exhale, slightly lift. Take two more with your breath. And when you're ready, bring those knees into the hands. Tuck the head up slightly, rolling into a tight little ball here. And relaxing the head down, keep the knees hugged. Perhaps you rock back and forth, massaging that low back. Taking some gentle hip circles here. Just finding the range of motion that feels good for you today. As we begin to wake the body up to our physical practice. Change direction. Now, crossing the legs at the ankle, you may stay here and draw the legs into the chest, or option to grab the outside of each foot, pull one knee on top of the other, and draw those feet closer to the body for a nice stretch in those outer hips in reclined cow face pose. Inhale, release. Change the cross of the ankles. And feel that stretch on the other side. Take a moment here to note any changes you feel between one hip and the other. Perhaps you notice a little more tension or flexibility on one side. Use this as a window into what's happening in your body, into where you might like to focus in today's practice. Inhale. Bring the feet back to crossing at the ankles. And either come to your side to tabletop or roll up, whichever is more comfortable for your body. Going to transition to our hands and knees in tabletop pose. Wrists underneath the ankles, fingers spread, underneath the shoulders, fingers spread, knees under hips. Taking a moment to find that comfortable neutral pelvis. On your next inhale, we're going to reach the right arm up to the sky. Exhale, thread that arm through the hole underneath your left arm. And stretch that shoulder down. Repeat. Inhale, reach up. Exhale. Thread through the left arm. Again, inhale. Exhale. Lower that shoulder down to the ground. Perhaps you rest your head on the ground as well. And just take a few moments here to breathe. With every exhale, allow your shoulder to melt just that little bit further towards the ground. Inhale, back to center. I'm going to repeat that on the other side. So inhale, left arm to the sky. Exhale, thread the arm through the hole underneath the right elbow. Inhale, lift. Exhale, thread. Inhale. Allow that shoulder to come rest on the ground. Relax the head. And allow that left arm to melt, letting all the tension release into the ground. Inhale. Come back to center. Extend the arms out in front of you into puppy pose as you leave the hips high. Rest the forehead against the ground and stretch through the fingertips to engage the shoulders. Option to tent the fingertips to make this pose more active if you would like, or just keep them against the ground, whatever feels right. Inhale, lift the head, slide the body forward on the mat. I'm going to transition to our side. So we're going to bring the elbow underneath the shoulder, stack the hips one on top of the other, and bend the knees at about a 45-degree angle from the hips. We're going to stack the ankles, flex the feet, and gluing the insides of the feet together, pretending there's a pin in the hip keeping it from moving. We're going to lift the bent leg and close. Lifting up into clamshell and close. Continuing at a pace that's comfortable for you, remembering that going slower is often more effective, although it's a little bit more difficult as well, than allowing your momentum to guide the movement. If you're really seeking to engage those hip muscles and release tension, build strength, slow is the way to go. One more on the side to lift. If you're having trouble getting height on this side, it's also an option to put a block or a blanket in between the knees and to lift from there. Sometimes that helps engage that muscle just a little bit higher. Just experiment and see what works best. From here, we're going to relax just a little lower down onto the ground. Straighten the legs and point the toes here. And again, we're going to check that our body's in alignment. So shoulders, hips, knees, and ankles all in one straight line. We're not curving forward or backward. And from here, we're going to inhale, lift that top leg, pointing the toe strongly, and exhale, come back. Inhale, lift. Exhale, slowly come down. Option to flex the feet here if you'd like to engage different muscles and see which feels best on your hip. Depending on the day, depending on what you've been doing this week, one might feel better than the other. Ensuring that you're maintaining relaxation in your shoulders, chest, and throat. Allow your front hand to come down if you need to stabilize. And come back down. We're going to roll over onto the other side. Coming down with that elbow underneath the shoulder again. Hips are stacked. Knees are at a 45-degree angle. And we're going to glue those flexed feet together as we lift that top leg without rolling the hip back. So it's really easy to lift and roll. Not so easy to pin that hip to the ground and then move that leg. Make sure you're breathing steadily through this. You may find that it's much more challenging on one side than the other. Most of us have more strength or more tension in one hip. It's the hip we tend to lean on when we're at the grocery store, waiting in line. Maybe the hip we carry a baby on. All right, coming down, I need to slide that elbow out to prop our hand against our head, straightening those legs. And again, taking a minute to make sure your body's in a straight line here. Point the toes, drop the front hand to stabilize your body. And on your next inhale, lift that top leg. Again, ensuring that your hips don't roll forward or backward here. All that motion should just come directly from the leg. And it truly doesn't matter how high or how low you go. It's finding your edge. So where you start to feel that effort, that's where you need to be. And releasing some of that tension, perhaps wiggling the feet a bit. We're going to roll over onto the knee. Take the big toes together. Let the knees fly to the outside of the mat as you sink down and extend into child's pose. Allowing the forehead to rest on the mat here. Reaching through those fingertips, elongating the shoulders and the arms. And taking some time here to come back to your breath. Notice the way the breath fills the back of the body in this position. Inhale. Slide the belly forward. Keep the elbows underneath the shoulders and let the feet drop to the outside of the mat, top of the feet hitting the floor. Inhale, lift the chest, open the heart towards the end of your mat, feeling that gentle compression in the low back. Just finding the amount of lift that allows you to breathe easily. If you find yourself struggling to breathe, come back down. Ground that pelvis into the ground. Press the tops of the feet down. Perhaps you lift just 1/10 of an inch further. Exhale. Lower the hands down.
Rest for a moment here in crocodile pose. Palms facing down, forehead on the tops of the hands. Really try here to let the muscles of the glutes all around the butt and hip area to just relax. Sometimes as we extend the back like that, they begin to grip to try and keep us safe. We can send them the message that it's okay, that they are safe, and that it's okay to let go of that tension. Begin here by tensing the right glute. And this may engage the other glute as well. That's okay. Just as long as you're noticing a difference between tensed and relaxed. You might even reach back with your arm to feel those muscles to see if you can feel them engage. Sometimes when we think we're clenching the butt, we're actually just tensing those hamstrings. Once you're confident that you're tensing the right muscles, feeling that underneath your fingers, you're going to tense, lift that right leg, and relax. And do the same thing on your left. Tense, lift that right leg, and relax. Keep doing this, alternating sides as you tense, lift, tense, and lift. Twice more, tense, lift, tense, and lift. Now we're going to work both legs in tandem. So squeezing both those glutes, lifting the legs. See if you can lift them just a little higher off the ground, holding that strength in your butt, and relax. Take a breath here. Shake out those glute muscles if you need to help them let go. Bring the arms so that the palms are facing up. Feel free to rest the forehead on the mat here, but we're going to lift it in a minute. Inhale, raise the chest, clench those glutes, and lift the legs off the ground into locust pose. Option to bring the hands underneath the shoulders for steadiness. Maybe on your next inhale, you lift just a little bit higher, allowing that front of the body and the chest to open. And exhale, release back. Place the hands under the shoulders, lift the hips, and sink back into child's pose. And take a minute here just to breathe and recenter on your breath. Coming up into a seated position. I'm going to start with the left leg bent and take the right sole of the foot and plant it outside that left knee. Then drawing the left arm to the outside of the right knee, we're going to take a gentle twist here, feeling that stretch and release in that right outside of the hip. With each inhale, lengthening the spine up towards the crown of the head. With each exhale, perhaps twisting just a little bit further. Release. We're going to switch sides. So right knee is bent. Sole of the left foot comes to the outside of the right knee, toes pointing forward. Bring that right arm to the outside to hug that left knee. And as you inhale, lift up the spine nice and tall. Exhale, twist. Release. And back into tabletop. Planting those wrists directly beneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips.
Take a minute here to spread the fingers and then walk those thumbs in towards the index fingers just a touch. Practice rooting all your weight through that index finger knuckle, through the entire spread of the fingers. Tuck the toes, and as you inhale, reach the hips towards the sky, drop the head, and extend those shoulders into downward dog. Option to widen the stance here, perhaps pedaling the feet if that feels good. But maintain a generous bend in the knees here and lift that tailbone towards the sky. Press the floor away from you to engage those shoulders. Lift up onto the balls of the feet, and with your inhale, raise the gaze to the hands and walk the feet to meet the hands. Staying for a moment here in forward fold. Bending those knees, lifting the sits bones towards the sky. Inhale, bend the knees, slowly roll the body up, rolling the shoulders back, opening the palms, and standing steady on all four corners of the feet as you reach through the crown of the head. Inhale, step the right foot back, making sure to give yourself enough space for your hips, okay? We don't want you to be walking on tightrope, wobbly. Step nice and wide like railroad tracks. Front toes are facing forward. Back heel is kicked slightly towards the back of the mat. Take a bend in that front knee, adjusting your stance if you need to keep that knee over the front heel. Align the shoulders directly over the hips and open the arms out to the side in Warrior Two. Let the hips fall wherever is comfortable for them in this position. Pressing through the heels of the feet as if you're trying to push the mat apart. Inhale, gently straighten that front leg. Move the hips to face the top of the mat and step forward, rolling the shoulders back into Tadasana. Take a minute here. Return to your breath. Inhale, step the left foot back, kicking that heel towards the back of the mat, stepping the feet nice and wide so there's space for the pelvis, bending that front knee over the front heel. Inhale the arms up as you turn your torso to the side, engaging and pushing through those heels. Take a minute here to ensure you haven't leaned a little forward or backward and align those shoulders back over the hips. Perhaps allowing the hips to open just a bit more towards the side of the mat. Inhale, turn the pelvis to face the top of the mat and step back forward into Tadasana. Inhale, reach the arms up, bring the palms together in prayer and fold down into forward fold, taking a bend in those knees if you need to. Inhale, plant the palms and step the feet back into our second downward facing dog of the day. Pushing through all 10 fingertips, feeling yourself draw the energy up from your palms through the shoulders and tailbone. Maybe you take another bend in those knees to lift the tailbone even higher. And on your next inhale, allowing the knees to drop as we come back into tabletop. Inhale, draw the left knee forward between the hands. And sink the hips down, back and down as we come into pigeon pose. Perhaps you take a minute to play around here, seeing whether leaning the hips more to one side or the other feels better. Finding a stretch that is comfortable, that feels like a release, but that is not painful. On the next inhale, perhaps you lean your body slightly forward, resting on the forearms, or even bringing the head to rest on the ground if your body allows. And draw the hands back, plant the palms to slightly lift and tuck those toes. Unwind back into tabletop. Inhale, lift the right leg to bring the right knee between the palms and sink back into pigeon on the right side. Keep the chest open here. Roll those shoulders down and away from the ears. Allowing your butt muscles to relax and let go. Next exhale, perhaps folding down onto the forearms or releasing the forehead to the mat. Allowing yourself to find the edge of where that deep stretch feels best. But maintain an open and lifted heart. Never letting those shoulders creep up towards the ears as they so often do. Inhale, draw the palms back. Tuck the toes, lift up slightly to unwind. And sink back into child's pose. Return to your breath. Notice how you fill the back body with each inhale. Making space to release that tension in the back ribs and the low back. Inhale, slowly raise up the torso, coming into a kneeling position. Toes can be tucked if you would like, or flat on the ground. Checking in with the pelvis to bring it into a neutral position. Bring the shoulders and ears into alignment. And relax the abdomen here. Inhale, raise the arms. Exhale, twist to one side. Trying to keep the pelvis facing forward as you bring the twist up into the chest and upper back. Exhale, come back. Inhale, twist the other direction. Reaching through those back fingertips. Bringing the shoulder open. And exhale, come back. One more round. Inhale, twist. Exhale, back to center. Inhale, twist. Exhale, back to center. Take a minute here to kick your right foot out towards the edge of the mat. So top of the knee is facing the sky. Foot can remain flexed, or the whole sole of the foot can come down onto the ground, whichever is more comfortable. And then we're going to sink back into the hips here as we draw forward from the hips and sink down towards the ground. Make sure you maintain a gentle bend in the knee here to protect it. Feeling that stretch through the inner thigh. Inhale, come up. If it feels good, you can also extend the right leg down along the shin, drawing the left arm over the ear. Inhale, back to center. Kick the left foot out towards the top of the mat. Hinge forward from the hips as you plant the arms down. Really intensifying that stretch through the inside of the thigh and the inner groin, stopping the moment you feel a twinge, a little spark of something that might be pain. Simply lift back up a little bit. Play around with what amount of bend in the knee is comfortable for you. Inhale, lift back up, perhaps taking a gate pose stretch here as you bend the side body towards that pronated leg. Inhale, back to center. Come down, seated into a simple cross-legged position. We're going to inhale the arms up and exhale, bring the right hand to the outside of the left knee, left arm behind you as you gently twist. Head is the last thing to turn towards that back of your mat. With every inhale, allowing yourself to sit a little bit taller. With every exhale, twisting just a little bit deeper. Inhale. Come back to center. Get a deep cleansing breath here. Check to see that your weight is still balanced evenly between your sits bones. And on your next inhale, raise the arms to the sky. Exhale. Left palm to the outside of the right knee. Right arm behind you. Feel the openness in the chest as you inhale. And that release in the upper rib area as you twist a little deeper on the exhale. Inhale, back to center. Take a minute here to roll the shoulders up and down away from the ears, perhaps moving one at a time. And then hinging from the hips, allow the body to come and breathe into the back body and allow the breath to fill that most spacious part of the lungs that we so often underutilize. Feel the way the entire body expands as you inhale. And melts towards the earth as you exhale. Inhale, lift the torso, release the legs, and come down to lie on your back. Sure your weight is resting comfortably on the area of the back just above the top of the buttock. And lift those knees to hug them into the chest. Again, perhaps you rock back and forth to massage that low back. Release the right leg, hugging the left knee in towards the left armpit as you extend the right leg towards the end of the mat. Inhale, release the left leg down. Draw the right knee into the chest. Hug it towards the right armpit as you extend the left foot. And on your next inhale, let the right leg drop and join its sister. As you readjust your weight to balance right above that buttock, let the feet fall open, let the palms rest, and soften the gaze or close the eyes as we enter into our final resting pose. Take a minute here to return to the breath. Notice the space that you've made in the body through your practice today. Draw your attention to where the breath is flowing now, acknowledging areas where perhaps it is flowing more freely. And without judgment, noticing areas where there still is some tension. And directing your focus as you breathe into those points of tension. Let your awareness then sink down towards the pelvic floor, towards that perineum. Noting again whether you feel the expansion with each inhale and lift with each exhale. Simply using this as a window into your body without judgment, without effort. With each inhale, allow your breath to fill the body, to lift that space full of energy. And with each exhale, allowing the body to melt into the ground. Simply stay here with the breath. And allow your body to integrate the practice that you've led it through today. As you begin to bring your awareness back into the room, perhaps you introduce some wiggles to the fingers and toes. Perhaps some gentle wrist or ankle circles if that would feel good. Allowing the eyes to drift back open. Your next inhale, rolling to the side. And just resting through a few breaths here in a fetal position. Pillowing the head onto one of your elbows. Curling the knees toward the chest. When you're ready, pressing into the palm, lift back up as we meet back in our seated position. I want to thank you for practicing with me today and for taking the time to make it to your mat and to tune in with your body and play around with your yoga practice. I hope that you can take the lightness and space that you've made in your practice today with you throughout the rest of your day, your week, or your month, remembering that goodness is an unlimited quality and that you and your body are a finely tuned team, coming back into connection every moment of every day that you pay attention and listen to each other. Namaste.